You think you know BTS. You see the lights, the awards, the screaming crowds. But behind all the fame, there's a truth that will break your heart. This is not just a story about a boy band. This is a story about survival, about being broken and still standing. What they did to BTS is not just unfair, it's something no human deserves to go through. And yet, they stayed. For their fans, for each other, for the music. This video isn't about their success, it's about what it cost them. Before the world screamed their names, BTS were just 7 boys in a tiny dorm, eating instant noodles, rehearsing in a small basement, fighting through every doubt. Big Hit was a nobody company. No money, no power. The industry mocked them. Other idols laughed. People told them they'd never make it. And yet, they trained harder, practiced longer, slept less. Their dream wasn't fame. It was to be heard, to create something meaningful, something that would outlive the noise. But from day one, they were under attack. The K-pop industry is brutal, but BTS faced a special kind of hate because they were different. They didn't fit the mold. They weren't from a big company. They didn't follow the manufactured path. So they were called names, accused of being try-hards. Their music was dismissed. Their looks were mocked. They were labeled flops before they ever had a chance. And when they started gaining fans, the hate exploded. Online forums spread lies. Other fandoms threatened them. Armies were mocked. Rumors spread faster than facts. And BTS? They read it all. They weren't just fighting for success, they were fighting to protect their dignity. What they don't show on stage, the injuries, the hospital visits, the surgeries, the painkillers, Jungkook fainting on stage. Jin with shoulder pain he hid for years. Jimin's diet that left him weak. Suga's surgery from years of untreated pain. They smiled for cameras, but behind the curtain, they collapsed. They cried. They bled. Why didn't they stop? Because they believed in the message. Because they couldn't let their fans down. Because they felt responsible to keep going. But at what cost? Fame doesn't protect you from depression. In fact, it makes it worse. Suga has openly talked about his battles with anxiety and depression. RM questioned his worth. V suffered from constant pressure to be perfect. Jungkook locked himself in his room after criticism. Jin bore the weight of being the eldest. Jimin cried alone over online hate. J-Hope smiled the most, but carried pain quietly. They weren't just artists. They were 7 young men dealing with inhuman pressure. And in Korea, mental health is often hidden, silenced. But BTS spoke. They told the truth. And in doing so, they helped millions feel seen. They weren't always supported. In fact, many times they were sabotaged. Music shows gave them short time slots. Awards shows snubbed them. Korean media ignored their records until international success forced recognition. They were used for clout and then dismissed. Interviews were cut short. Hosts made fun of their English. Journalists twisted their words. They kept showing up with grace, with power, with love. As they finally reached the top, a new debate began. Should BTS be forced to enlist? Instead of celebrating their global impact, the media turned it into a political weapon. The members stayed silent, respecting the law. But the public pressure, the judgment, it was exhausting. They were used again, this time as symbols in a national debate. And yet, they handled it with quiet dignity, not once blaming anyone, not once playing the victim. Success came with a price. No privacy, no peace, no real life. Sasang stalked them. Fans broke into hotels, leaked private numbers, harassed family members. Fake news spread globally. Every moment was watched, judged, picked apart. Behind the scenes, they were exhausted, burned out. And still, they kept giving concerts, albums, speeches, campaigns, messages of healing. all while being treated like machines. So now ask yourself, who really are BTS? They're not just idols, not just performers. They are survivors. They took every hit and turned it into art, turned pain into purpose, turned hate into healing. BTS stood when the world tried to break them, and in doing so, they became a light for millions. You don't have to be a fan to respect that. You just have to be human. Because what they did to BTS should have broken them, but it didn't. And that's what makes them legendary. So, if you've ever been told that you're not good enough, if you've ever been pushed aside, ignored, or underestimated, remember this: BTS was once there too, and yet here they are. Not because they had no pain, but because they refused to let pain be the end of their story. And maybe, just maybe, your story isn't over either. Maybe, like BTS, your greatest pain is only the beginning of your greatest triumph.